Hello everyone, it's week 4 of Nina Ribena's Art Journal Prompts and More. But before I explain exactly what I'm going to be doing this week, I just want to talk about how the group works. It's my Facebook group, or our Facebook group I should say, and we've changed it this year. We've changed the name slightly and changed what we're doing, and it seems to have created a little bit of confusion. Last year, Art Journal Prompts, we were doing 52 art journal pages, and I would set a different prompt each week, and I would do a page, and then everybody would go and use that for inspiration, do their own thing and create an art journal page based on that particular week's prompt. This year, for 2018, I've changed it, and for the reason being that a lot of people were finding weekly art journal pages just too much to keep up with, and once they'd got behind a couple of weeks, they'd lost their motivation. Some, were feeling guilty, feeling as if they'd let the group down, and I just didn't want that to carry on going forward. So I decided to change it, and we now have a monthly prompt. This month's prompt is words, but we're still doing weekly pages, but you don't have to. You can just post once a month in the group. You can post every week as often as you like. You really can do it to suit you. The only requirement is that whatever you do must fit the prompt. So this month, as I say, it's words. So I've been doing weekly videos, and each week I just do a different take on the word prompt. The first week I did my word of 2018. The second week I did a collage. Last week I did the Bombay ink and alcohol technique, and then put a phrase on top of it, and I'm just about to explain what I'm going to do this week. So really, don't overcomplicate it. You can do ATCs, you can do tags, you can do a canvas, you can do all art journal pages if you want to. As I say, the only requirement is that it must follow the prompt. So anyway, let me just explain what I'm going to be doing this week, and if anybody needs any further clarification, then just leave me a comment in the comment section below. So this week I am going to be working on a piece of picture framing mount board, which is like heavy card, and I hope that it's going to hold up to the inks that I'm going to be using. I'm doing inks again, but this time distress inks, and I've pulled out 3 colours: picked raspberry, spiced marmalade and mustard seed. And if you like what I do and intend to copy it, just be really careful with the colours that you choose, because with distress inks, because they're water reactive, if you're not careful, you'll end up with a horrible muddy mess. Now I am going to be applying the inks to my page using some of this plastic. It's just from one of my Costco Ziploc bags, and I've cut it up into several little pieces because I want to use a different piece of this plastic for each of the inks, and I might introduce some more colours as well, which is why I've cut more than 3. I'm also going to be using my water spray bottle. So let's get started. Let me tell you what this page measures, because I know that somebody is bound to ask me. It is just over 8 inches wide, and it is just under 9 inches long. So that's what I'm going to be using this week, and then I can maybe punch holes in it and use it, to hang on my wall. So I'm going to start off with the pink, and what I am going to do, let me just check that I'm in frame, bear with me. I just want a little space here so that you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm taking the lid off my distress ink, and I'm just going to smush it onto this piece of Ziploc bag, and then I'm just going to spray with a little bit of water, tip it upside down, and then dab it on my page. And I'm just going to keep doing this. Let me move the lid out of the way, because I'm going to end up keep picking up the lid by mistake if I'm not careful. So again, I'm just going to keep repeating with the picked raspberry until I've got the coverage that I want on this particular page. This is not my idea, my technique. I think it was Kay Warner Designs. Is it Christine Warner, who makes lots of beautiful cards and things? I'm sure that I saw her do this, but I'm not entirely sure. It was a while ago. And I thought, oh, I like that. I've also seen other people do it. I'm pretty sure I've seen Amy from Al John do this with acetate and a plastic bag, and I'm pretty sure I've seen Betsy Doodle do it too. So, you know, I haven't done it before, but as I say, I've seen lots of other people do it, and it just looked like fun, and I'm sure that I will end up in a horrible inky mess as usual, but there we go, nothing changes there, does it? So I've got a baby wipe, not a baby wipe, a piece of kitchen towel off to my side. Let me just give that a wipe, and then I'm going to put the lid back on the picked raspberry, and I'm going to introduce some orange. So another piece of the Ziploc bag, and we'll do exactly the same thing again. Whoops-a-daisy. Squirt, squirt, squirt. And we'll add some of, oh, it's folded over. We'll add some of this to the page. I'm not worried if this overlaps the pink, because of course these two colours are next to each other on the colour wheel, so I know that they'll work nicely together, and I'm not going to end up with any mud. And I'm just going to work my way round like this. I want lots of patterning, and I want a bit of white space as well. So I'm not aiming to cover absolutely everything, not intentionally anyway. And then I want to add a bit of yellow as well. Let's just add a bit more of the orange. I want some in this area here. And I want these watermarks as well. So right, there we go, we'll leave that. I think I'll give that just a bit of a wipe, just so that I can use it again. Stick the lid back on the spiced marmalade, and then I'm going to add some mustard seed. So I'll use another one of these Ziploc bags, smush it on. Oh, those look nice together. They're very similar actually, aren't they? But oh, this kind of thing just makes me happy. Just fun, lots and lots of fun. And I just continue to smush the mustard seed down on the page. Just keep adding more to my little piece of Ziploc bag until I'm happy with the colours and the coverage that I've got. You can see here I'm introducing a bit more of the picked raspberry, just to get some more of that pink going on, which has turned more of a red colour now that it's mixed with the yellow. And in fact here I think I've just picked up the yellow by mistake. Page is nearly dry, and I haven't bothered picking up or mopping up with a tissue any of the areas where it's pooling. So these darker areas that you can see here are areas like this where I've just got a little puddle, so it takes a bit longer to dry. There's another one here, but I'm just holding my heat tool until all of the ink has evaporated. Absolutely love how that looks. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, alternatives. If you haven't got any of the distress inks, use water-soluble felt tip pens. So, you know, any kids brand of felt tip pen should work, but they must be the water-soluble ones. But just use a felt tip pen and scribble on a piece of Ziploc bag or acetate, or any plastic bag should work, and you should get a very, very similar result to this, and of course you'll end up with more colour choices as well. Now I just continue adding more and more colour. You can see I'm adding some more of that picked raspberry, and I'm just trying to sort of get a good colour blend, and lots of watermarks and lots of patterning. You can see now that I'm adding some of the spiced marmalade to the picked raspberry at the top. And as I say, it's just important that you choose colours that are next to each other on the colour wheel if you're going to do this kind of thing, because otherwise you just, you know, end up with a horrible muddy mess, and we don't want mud, do we? I'm introducing some of the yellow now, again on the picked raspberry, and oh, in fact I'm not. In fact, on the yellow itself and on the spiced marmalade, but I know I add some to the picked raspberry. Here I go. just so that I've got a good blend of all three of those colours. And I just felt I wanted a bit more of the yellow at the bottom of the page. And I just love the way this looks. It's just such a pretty colour combination. There's something really lovely about pink and orange together. Well, oh my gosh, I just love that. It's just so gorgeous and colourful. I just love all the pattern I've got going on from the, you know, the watermarks. I just think that's beautiful, and I just think that pink and orange, I've obviously got a bit of yellow in this as well, it's just such a lovely colour combination. So you can see that I added more of the yellow where the pink was, and I added more of the pink and the orange where the yellow was, just to sort of, you know, really mix that up and try and get it to be nice and cohesive. And I have no idea where I'm going to go next, because I've got no plan today. I just wanted to play, and I thought I'll put this down and I'll see what it looks like, and hopefully something will come to mind. But I'm thinking that I've got the pinks and the oranges. The opposite end of the colour wheel is sort of like a turquoise blue, and I just think a pop of that would just look absolutely lovely on this. So I'm just going to dry a couple of these other areas and have a ponder on that, and I shall be straight back. Now, I've had a good think about what I want to do next, and I've decided I just really want to go to town and add lots of interest on this hanging. So I've grabbed a stencil. This is a stencil that Mika sent me in Happy Mail for the embellishment challenge. It's one that she's actually made herself, and you could see that I held it on the page and just squirted some water through the stencil, and it's left some lovely watermarks. And I'm going to do the same thing again in the bottom right hand corner. And what I'm doing is just spraying through the stencil, leaving it for a second or two, and then popping a kitchen towel on top to mop up some of that excess ink. And then I'm left with the pattern of the stencil. I just think this is a lovely effect. And then I decided to do the same thing with the mini Harlequin stencil. This is a stencil from Creative Expressions. It's one of their mini stencils. I've got a few of these. I love them. And you can see again that that's left that lovely pattern behind. It just bleaches the ink that's underneath and takes some of that colour away, but it's just a really cool effect. Now I decide I want some black against that bright background, and so I'm adding some of these circles. This is a Crafter's Workshop stencil. It's one of the Rebecca Mayer designs. It's called Mini Harlequin Circles. And so I decide to add these in, I think, either 3 or 4 places on the hanging, just to add some contrast, as I say, against that busy bright background. And now I want to add some of that gorgeous blue that I talked about earlier. So I'm using my Distress Oxide ink. I think this is Broken China. And I'm using a Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous alphabet stencil here. Again, adding colour in 3 or 4 different places, overlapping the circles that I've already put down. Sorry about the shaking here. I'm pouncing up and down like crazy, and then I realised that I'm probably shaking the camera. Now, sticking with the pale blue, I use my Amsterdam acrylic in Sky Blue Light, and I'm just using some, these are tops off paintbrushes, the plastic protectors that you get on your paintbrushes, and I add a few different sizes of circles. Start off with the larger size, again overlapping the stamping that I've already put down, and then I add some circles using a smaller lid, just clustering those circles because I just like the look that gives. introduce a bit more black for some more contrast to the page, and I'm using the Creative Expressions Doodle Cross stencil. I really like these Creative Expressions stencils. So again, just overlapping and adding that in a few places. I wanted to add some white to the page, and I started off using my StazOn opaque white ink pad, but you just couldn't see it very well, and in fact I ended up deleting that part of the video because there was nothing for you to see. It is there in the background, so I decided to use my Dylusions white paint, which is much brighter. So I added the dots with the Dylusions background stamp, and now you can see me using the paintbrush lid to add some more circles. This is the same lid that I used to add the blue earlier. And I'm adding some more circles just using the black StazOn ink pad this time. So you can just see that I'm just trying to build up lots and lots of different overlapping layers using black, white and that blue, that gorgeous blue. And it's really starting to come together now. I'm liking the way that this is starting to develop. I'm just adding a few dots with some black Dylusions paint using a stylus. And doing the same thing here now with the sky blue light. So that's the Amsterdam acrylic in sky blue light, using the stylus again just to add a few more of those lovely dots. I'd got a little bit of that sky blue light paint left on my craft mat, and I decided to add it as a border to the piece of mount board. The mount board is cut at an angle, and so it lends itself to some kind of border. And then I'm adding a few larger circles with the black Dylusions paint again. I just felt that the larger circles that I'd added with the Crafters Workshop stencil earlier were just a bit too overpowering, by adding these medium-sized circles with that paintbrush lid just really breaks up the page and just adds a bit more contrast. And adding my final layer to the background using Broken China Distress Oxides and my Dylusions Jumbled Alpha stamp. Now I've finished with my background and I'm just working on my quote, which is "Live life in full colour," and you just saw there me show the X-cut alphabet die. So I've cut out all the letters that I need for my quote and I've decided to emboss them, and this is really fiddly. You can see me really struggling with my tweezers here. I keep dropping it. It took me ages, but it was really worthwhile because it added a lovely gloss to the quote. I need the tweezers to hold the letters in place as I emboss them, because otherwise they just blow all over the place. And you'll see here that I give each of the letters two or three coats of embossing powder just to build up that shine. embossed all of my words, or letters I should say, to make my words, and I just think that the background is too busy for them like this, and they just don't stand out as much as I would like them to. So I've played with live, hang on a second, and I decided to mount them on some white cardstock. Oh, hang on. Oh, we've got runaway letters, and it would help if I could spell, wouldn't it? Live. get them in the right order, Nina. There we are. And I just think they look much, much better mounted on white cardstock. And all I've done is just used one of these glue pens just to stick the embossed letters down. And so I'm just using this glue pen just to add some glue to the back of my individual letters like this. And the reason I'm using a glue pen as opposed to glossy accents or anything else is that I just don't want it spouting out of the letters and leaving sort of like a shiny residue. So I am going to place my letter down like that, the L, and then with a piece of kitchen towel I am just going to make sure that it's pressed down firmly so that it's adhered to the cardstock, and this way as well that it's going to mop up any extra glue that has seeped. So there we go, and I'm going to do this with all of the letters, but what I shall, in fact I'll glue that, in fact no I'm going to cut them out first. So I'm just going to snip like that, just so that I know that I've got enough space in between each one, and then I'm just trimming it like this. Doesn't have to be perfect, in fact that's sort of, you know, adds charm to it. And so that's my L. So I shall do this with all of the other letters, and as soon as I've done that, I shall be back. My goodness me, I just love this so much. It's taken me longer to do the embossing and mount the letters on cardstock than it has to do the whole page. It was really, really fiddly, and they kept tipping upside down. It was a complete pain in the bum, it really was, but so worth it. I ended up leaving my quote overnight because I just couldn't decide how I wanted to glue it down onto the page, whether I wanted it in a straight line as I've ended up gluing it, or whether I wanted it all wonky and slightly mixed up. But me being me, decided that I found it more pleasing to glue it in a straight line. I used this blue tack glue pen. It's a Bostik one to glue things down. I'm quite impressed with this actually, and that was what I glued the emboss letters down to the white cardstock as well. And that's pretty much it. I did add a bit more of the sky blue light to the border just to brighten it up a bit, so that's had another coat of paint. And then I've pulled out some of my handmade butterflies. These are my butterfly embellishments that some of you will have seen me make before. I'll leave a link to the video in the description box below. And I've added a bit of embossing powder to the centre of the butterflies as well, just to brighten it up a little bit. And I think I'm going to glue those down like that. So I'm going to go off and have a fiddle with that. I glued my butterflies on, and I just love the way that this has turned out. I just think the colours are just absolutely gorgeous. I'm thrilled to bits with this. And at some stage as well, over the next few days, I'll attach some kind of way to hang it on my wall. I should probably punch with my pokey tool 2 holes in either corner and attach some wire, but I just want to have a think about it. Whether I'll add beads, I don't know. Or, you know, the other option is to sort of add a hanger in the centre there. So as I say, I'm just going to have a think about that. Now last week, of course, I announced that I was going to do a bit of a giveaway. So let me just bring in the pieces that were included. There were 2 lots. Let me just put my wall hanging to one side. So I did the card here, the postcard size card, Learn from Yesterday, Live for Today, the little embellishment Hope, the butterfly ATC, then I had a few scraps left over, and I also said that I wanted to have a play with the Hope with some Uti as well, and I did that, and I've just attached it to a little card. And so there we go. I will probably write a little message in this, and then if you want to sort of chop off the front and use it as an embellishment, then you can do. you. And again, there's another set exactly the same here. So the postcard, hope, the ATC, the scraps that were left over, and the hope with Uti. Now, I received a few comments last week from long-term followers saying that, well, in fact, one lady in particular saying that she felt excluded because I said that I was only going to allow people to enter who were actually in the Facebook group. And that was a mistake, really, and I felt really bad about it because seeing the comments come in made me realise how many people comment on the videos that are not actually members of the Facebook group. But, you know, some people, Mika, for instance, who left a lovely comment, Mika has followed my YouTube channel since literally day one, but Mika isn't a member of the Facebook group. So I decided to include long-term people who I recognised as well into the draw. And I put that there were 174 comments on last week's video. So I just put 174 into random.org and wrote down about half a dozen numbers. The first one that came out was somebody who I didn't recognise at all and wasn't a member of the Facebook group. The second name that came out is Lynn in Raleigh. Lynn is not a member of the Facebook group, but, or at least not under the name of Lynn in Raleigh anyway. But Lynn's followed me since forever. So Lynn, you are the lucky winner of the first set. And then the second person, the second name that came out was Elizabeth Naisbitt, who we all know within the Facebook group. So congratulations to you two ladies, Lynn in Raleigh and Elizabeth Naisbitt. I've got Elizabeth's address. Lynn, if you could send me a message, preferably via Facebook, with your address details, then I shall get these packages sent out over the next few days. So congratulations. Let me just put those to one side and bring back my artwork for this week. So I hope you like what I've created here, and I hope you've enjoyed doing this month's prompt as well. I have thoroughly enjoyed having a month-long prompt and being able to do produce different ideas based on that prompt. It's just been so much fun, and I think it really gets you thinking as well, and being inspired by other people's ideas within the group. It's just been fabulous. I am so impressed with the artwork that you're all showing. It's just fantastic. Keep up the great work. We've just got such a buzz going on in the group. It's just absolutely fantastic. So I hope you like what I've created here, and as usual, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up if you did, and let me know what you think in the comments below. You know, I love to hear your comments, and feel free to share this if you know, you've got any art groups or what have you, and you want to have a go at this yourselves. Feel free to share the video. So take care everyone, and I shall see you all again next week. Bye for now.